So following UFC 308 and Khamzat Chimaev's dominant victory over Robert Whittaker, where he submitted Whittaker in the very first round, broke the guy's damn jaw, we are going to listen to Josh Thomson on the Weighing In podcast and his just unbelievable bias against Khamzat Chimaev. This dude is just a flat-out certified Khamzat Chimaev hater, and I kind of want to expose that and call that out in this video. So we're also going to fact check and kind of dismiss a lot of the BS that Josh Thomson is going to say in this video, because one thing about the Weighing In podcast, it's a show I've watched for a very long time. I haven't been watching it as much recently, and a lot of that has to do with Josh Thomson, but I also want to mention Big John McCarthy is one of my favorite personalities in the sport of MMA. I absolutely love Big John. He is the greatest referee of all time, and he is usually very, very fair when he comes on here for the Weighing In podcast. Whether he gets the pick right or wrong, he always usually gives the fighters their due, and then he gives them their credit even if he got the pick wrong. Whereas Josh Thomson, you're going to see this. He has a very, very hard time swallowing the pill that Khamzat Chimaev won this fight. And obviously, he picked Robert Whittaker to win this fight. And here on my channel, I told you guys, look, I'm not some professional fighter. I said Robert Whittaker is going to dismantle Robert Whittaker inside 2 rounds. He's going to submit him. Robert Whittaker has never fought somebody that has the grappling of Chimaev. The way that Khamzat strings things together, the chain wrestling, the submissions, the pressure, the lighter weight class speed coming up. I know Whittaker fought at 170 back in the day, but that's been, since the dinosaurs were walking that he's been at 170. He's been a top tier guy at 185, and Chimaev coming up from 170. I figured that the speed advantage in terms of the grappling was going to be a factor in this fight. But let's hear what Josh Thomson has to say. So get ready to kind of just hear some complete BS in the way that he discredits Chimaev and tries to basically say that he should not be fighting for the title is just absolutely crazy. I mean, look at his face. Look, he's just like, I have to be nice to Khamzat. That's the way it comes off, man. It's just, this is crazy. But I want to start with Big John giving a little bit of a praise here to Khamzat as a little bit of a positive for Big John.
And I don't know anybody that's going to win the first round against that guy. Mm-hmm. In the middleweight division, stand by. I don't think there is anyone. Now, if it gets into later rounds, we've seen a different guy. We've seen that he does slow down. But you got to make it through the first round.
This is true. I mean,
so shout out to Big John McCarthy. Again, he was very complimentary of Khamzat Chimaev. He broke down what he saw in the fight. And here you go. Here's Josh Thomson's opportunity to be like, you know what, John? I agree 150% with you. Khamzat went in there, dominated Robert Whittaker, guy coming off a 2-fight win streak, possible title shot on the line, still basically in the prime of his career, one of the best middleweights of all time. What Khamzat did to him, I mean, I'm blown away, John. That would have been basically what I would have said. Instead, here's what we get.
Look, and I know after we got done talking about this on Tuesday for the fight breakdown on it, I saw, obviously I go through the comments. People were talking like, hey man, like, why do you hate Chimaev? You're always picking against him, this and that. No, it's not a hate Chimaev thing. I love what he's done, man. But look, let's go through this again. And bear with me right here, okay? Kind of follow along.
Yeah, we'll bear with them, right? So get ready. Get your notepad ready, guys, because we got a lot of fact checking here to do with Josh Thomson, because as I've said before, it seems like Josh doesn't always do his research. He doesn't always check the facts, and he comes off as very much a casual. He comes off as very much a casual, a guy that's an analyst that sits at the desk for, Bellator/PFL and does this different stuff. Where's the research here, Josh, for what he's going to say? And he does this all the time. Big John always has to constantly correct him. Big John is like us. He's watching the full damn fight card from the very first night, or first fight of the night, to the very end. He has his ducks in a row. Josh almost never does. Here's a perfect example.
He barely gets past Kamaru Usman after having a full camp and Usman coming off the couch. And let's not forget, even though Usman had a good performance against him, he's still a 70-pounder. Okay, even though he can fight at 85, we all know he can. He just showed it. He proved against Khamzat.
Here's the problem, right? So right away, it's on like the discrediting, right? There's no where's the compliments, Josh? Khamzat just beat Robert Whittaker. He just took out Robert Whittaker. We've never seen anyone do that to Robert Whittaker. And the very first thing that you do is bring up, Kamaru Usman, he took the fight on short notice, and it was a close fight, and even though Kamaru looked good, he's a 170-pounder. The bout was at 185. Don't sign the contract if you don't want to fight at 185. He fought as a middleweight. And keep in mind, Kamaru is a former world champion. He's one of the best 170-pound fighters of all time. And not only that, he's also a big guy for the weight class. And also, Josh Thomson, did you forget that Khamzat Chimaev is also a welterweight? I know that he's bounced around and he's fought, when he bursted onto the scene in the UFC, it was he fought at 170, 185. He has also fought at 170. He was basically a 170-pounder. That was where he's tried to go on his run there. And then now, he's up at 185 and fully dedicated to the move. It's just immediately on the discrediting. How about that dominant first round over Kamaru Usman, which was the most dominant we've ever seen? We've never seen somebody do that to Usman. We've never seen it outside of a fluke. It was a nice setup, but a very late KO after Usman was controlling Leon Edwards the entire fight. He gets knocked out with a head kick. Outside of that, Kamaru Usman's been amazing at 170. He's been incredible. Why are you not saying, well, oh my God, what Chimaev did to him and Khamzat gets tired. Khamzat was right there with Usman, right? So it's crazy.
But he's a 170-pounder. Then you go to Kevin Holland, who is at 170 now.
He's not at 170 now. Kevin Holland is a 185er, Josh. He's a 185er. He just fought Roman Dolidze at 185. He just fought Mikhail Olajechuk, where he just, pulled off a very impressive submission. That was at 185. Come on, Josh Thomson. Come on, man. Do your research.
Okay, and when they fought, I believe that Kevin Holland had made the weight already at 170 and then was going and basically fought him at 180, I believe, correct? Or 185? Did they agree on 185?
I think it ended up at 185.
I thought they agreed on 180 or whatever.
They might have.
Anyways, yeah, but whatever it was, now Kevin Holland is a 170-pounder.
Again, so whatever weight, I can't remember if it was a catch weight or whatever, because I remember Holland was supposed to fight D-Rod. It was supposed to be Diaz Chimaev. Thank God that didn't happen. We ended up getting Holland versus Chimaev. Josh, do you not know anything about Kevin Holland? Come on, man. Kevin Holland he hasn't been that great at 170. A couple of his wins at 170 are against like old guys who aren't what they were anymore. His dominance and his best wins have basically been at 185. That's when Kevin Holland's been at his best. That's why he went back up to 185. He was on that, do you not remember that impressive win streak where he won basically 5 fights in a row, knocked out Jacare off his back, starched Joaquin Buckley, who's been an absolute savage down at 170 pounds. Like, come on, man. Like, Kevin Holland is a 185er. He's just as, like, you see the problem here. You see, like, how Josh is just so biased and just flat out just doesn't like Khamzat. Oh, I read the comments and people say I don't like Khamzat. Because you sound like you don't. Prove to us that you don't like him, man. Because what we're hearing and seeing, you don't like Khamzat. It's very clear.
Gilbert Burns, 170-pounder. Okay, great 170-pounder. Mm-hmm. And it's fought for the title. But he's still a 170-pounder. Now, that was a fight that he made the weight on, I believe. He made that weight on in the Gilbert Burns fight.
No, he did.
He did. So then he missed the Kevin Holland weight action stuff.
He made the 170-pound limit to take on Gilbert Burns. What's the issue there, Josh? Gilbert Burns is a world-class fighter. He's a world-class fighter who damn near KO'd Kamaru Usman.
That went on there. The Kamaru Usman fight, a short notice fight. These are all 3 170-pounders. He made the
Also, Khamzat had to take Kamaru Usman on short notice. Even though Khamzat was preparing for a fight, he was preparing for Paulo Costa. Khamzat could have said, wait, I'm not going to take Usman, former champion. I'm not going to take him on short notice. Too big of a risk for me. Instead, he still took the fight.
Weight against Li Jiang. He fought him as well, and he ragdolled him. No one's questioning his abilities. But to say that he gets a title shot off of beating a bunch of 70-pounders in the
he's gonna get the title shot.
I know he is. Okay. You can just feel it in the room.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is, John, like he's literally beat a bunch of 70-pounders, but was supposed to be fighting at 85, and now he's not getting a title shot at 170. He's getting a title shot at 185. It doesn't make sense to me.
Josh. This is very, very simple. Okay, for example, Umar Nurmagomedov. Nobody wants to fight the guy, right? Which Khamzat's had issues with that as well. Nobody really wants to fight him. Umar gets thrown in there against Corey Sandhagen, a well-rounded guy on a win streak, one of the best guys in the division, who, basically number 1 ranked guy. Umar goes in there and beats Corey Sandhagen. What happens then? You get a title shot. That's what happens when you go in there and you show that you are that damn good, you get a title shot. You have not mentioned one time what Khamzat just did to Robert Whittaker. He will later on here, but why are you immediately starting with the discrediting? And you hear Big John. Big John's like one of us. Big John gets it, man. Big John gets it. He's like, he's going to get the title shot. Big John knows Dana White in the UFC. He knows him like the back of his hand. He used to be the head official. He used to be the big dog back in the day. He knows the way they work. They're licking their chops right now, the UFC. They're like, we are so happy that Khamzat. We love Robert Whittaker. I feel like as fight fans, we all love Robert Whittaker. But can you not admit that this is great for the sport that Khamzat did this? It is. He's got aura. Khamzat's got aura. He's got this scary style. He's a personality. He's fun. People tune in to watch this guy fight. He's getting the next title shot. Otherwise, who's next? Sean Strickland? I mean, Strickland had a close fight with DDP, didn't have a very impressive performance against Paulo Costa. Do you want to give it to him, or do you want to give it to the guy who's undefeated and just went out there and beat a Bobby Knuckles coming off of a 2-fight win streak coming into this and decimated him into the first round? We are a couple minutes into this, and we have not heard Josh give one positive thing about Chimaev off this Whittaker fight. It's crazy. He's been sitting here, been sitting up here trying to discredit the guy the whole time.
Like, I'm not saying that he's not skilled. And I'm also saying that in that fight with Gilbert Burns, he was exhausted. And he was also exhausted in the Kamaru Usman fight, who is a 170-pounder. Yeah. So, look, I'm not taking away what he did today, because what he did today spoke for itself. Absolutely fantastic performance. But we've seen this before where he's dominated for round one like this. Had that miss happen, or whatever it was with the jaw of Robert Whittaker not happen, he probably
a mishappen. Here we go. A mishappen. He probably wouldn't have got him out of there. Look, I mean, I've seen this because I wanted to know where to pull the clip so I could do this video. But you're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear. We knew that this was gonna happen as Chimaev fans, guys. We knew that this was going to happen. The excuses, they were gonna try to find any way to discredit the win of Chimaev. Guys, this is unbelievable. Gilbert Burns, I don't care. Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman are outstanding wins for Khamzat Chimaev. They are. Those guys are world-class fighters, and that was an absolute war against Gilbert Burns. Khamzat got thrown into the Shark Tank. You hear me talk about that all the time, where we get this prospect who's got all this hype. They seem like they're that guy, and the UFC throws him in there and gives him that top 5 opponent. Khamzat passed the test. He got hurt badly in the fight. He had to dig deep, and to say that he was gassed, he was tired, right? Because it wasn't, the first round where Khamzat is incredibly explosive. We see him pull back a little bit in the second and third round, but he was still very active. He was dropping Gilbert Burns. He was outlanding him. He was landing a lot of really good shots against Gilbert Burns. Josh is acting like he had his hands on his hips and was like, Get me out of there. Like it was like Kimbo Slice Dada 5000 back in the day. Like that's not what it was. Even in the Usman fight, Khamzat got a little tired, but again, hurt his hand. There were some injuries there. And look, he still pushed through it. The adversity that the guy has been through in fights, that's worth something. Why does Khamzat have to go in there and bash his brain in for 5 rounds for you, Josh Thompson, to be like, oh, he deserves a title? Well, I guess now, and you know what Josh would be saying now? Oh, well, he barely got by him. I don't think he should get a title shot. The fact that he steamrolled Robert Whittaker is enough to get a title shot, Josh.
I would have survived the round, and would we be in the same position?
Oh,
broken.
yeah.
Ooh, broken or...
Dislocated.
Yeah, something, huh?
I don't know. That looks broken.
Can you tell us what it is?
I think dislocated. That's what they said.
Well, dislocated is at the hinge. It's not in the front.
Yeah, it's not there in the front. Normally in the front, it would be like a break here in the front, and that's what causes your teeth.
Come on, George, you're a doctor. Tell everyone.
When you see the mouth like that, it's normally a break because the teeth will start to separate. Yeah.
Robert Whittaker could have had something going on there before the fight. The damage was caused by Khamzat Chimaev. The guy's got a hell of a squeeze. We've seen it. The minute he grabs a hold of people, it's a problem. So I don't want to hear the excuses. I also hope that Robert Whittaker has a speedy recovery. We all love Robert Whittaker. We appreciate the hell out of him, one of the best fighters ever. But come on, man. You sign a contract, you get in there, there's no excuses. Rob's not making any excuses. Josh is making excuses.
One gets tired, taller than the other.
My take on Chimaev is there wasn't a big enough sample size. It guys at 185. Tonight was a good way for him to prove it and print that he deserves a title shot. But you still got 2 guys ahead of him, I believe. You've got Sean Strickland and you've got Izzy.
That is the craziest shit that I have heard since UFC 308 took place. The fact that you want to say Sean Strickland, I think that he's waiting in the wing as well. I think Khamzat kind of is now ahead of him in terms of getting the title shot. Is he? Israel Adesanya? What are you talking about? He just lost to Sean Strickland at UFC 293. He goes out there against Dricus du Plessis. He just lost. Why is he ahead of Khamzat? Khamzat just beat Robert Whittaker. And you hear what Josh is doing. He's basically discrediting Khamzat's win, saying, well, he beat Robert Whittaker so easily and so quickly. Why we can't give him a title shot? We haven't seen enough. What are you talking? That's the guy's fighting style. How is that not like blowing your mind? Like, you're not like, throw him in there, man. That's impressive. I can't believe he did that to Whittaker. Instead, Josh tries to find every little way to criticize Chimaev. This is terrible. This is just, it's bad, man. It's a bad look for Thomson. It is.
I honestly believe he should probably fight the loser of the title shot that's going to happen next. That's my honest opinion. Who's going to drag him into the deeper water so we can see if he can perform?
Look at Big John, man. He's like, Josh. He's like, you're my buddy, man. How am I going to dig you out of this one? Because Big John knows. He knows the business. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? What he just did to Whittaker is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And you see Big John kind of have to walk on eggshells around Josh. You know, it's ridiculous. What are you talking about? Should fight the loser of the title fight? Why? He just beat Robert Whittaker, a former champion, one of the greatest 185ers of all time, a future Hall of Famer, that is Robert Whittaker, and he dismantled him in the first round. He took no damage. What we were talking about Chimaev, this aura of invincibility, him just beating the hell out of the top fighters. Can he do that? We kind of had some doubts because of the Burns and Usman fight. Comes out there and gets back to who Chimaev is because he's healthy and he's locked in and dialed in, and he just did it to a world-class fighter in Robert Whittaker, and it seems like Josh is just struggling to accept it.
Look, if you guys want to fight him for the title, have at it. It doesn't bother me at all. Like, it doesn't. I'm actually kind of encouraged to see him and DDP fight. That'd be a great fight.
Yeah,
DDP's gonna have to stop his takedowns. We've seen DDP get tired. But what we've also seen is Khamzat's been able to bully people around with his wrestling, and he's a big guy for 185 also. Do you see him standing next to Robert Whittaker?
He barely made weight. He had problems making weight.
Yeah, he's huge though, John.
Yeah,
and when you saw him standing in front of Whittaker, I was like, oh, Whittaker used to be a 70-pounder too. That's the other thing. He's now put the weight on.
Yeah, but he's been a 185.
He's been 85-pounder.
There's a perfect example. Josh trying to throw. Look, guys, it's very subtle. That's what Josh Thomson does. It's a very subtle. Like, let me throw a little excuse out there for the guy I picked, and they lost. Let me throw out a little subtle excuse. Well, Robert Whittaker used to be at 170 also. Robert Whittaker, he's been at 185 for forever, man. He's been at 185 for forever. He's been a champion there. He's been around at 185 for years. 170 is way in the past. Like, he's just looking for every way to try to, like, discredit Chimaev. And he's like, oh, he's great. I think he's so skilled. I would love to see him against DDP. Do whatever you guys want. Why are you, Josh, are you not in tune with, like, what the MMA world is now? Like, how do you not see what, like, these guys are just, they're out of touch. They're out of touch. We want Chimaev versus DDP. That is the fight to make. Sean Strickland versus DDP is also a solid fight. However, Khamzat Chimaev deserves it, man. Going out there and beating Robert Whittaker like that, and then Strickland going out there and putting up a stinker against Paulo Costa. Come on, Chimaev's earned it. He has. And took no damage. He went in there against Whittaker, took no damage and beat the guy. It's incredible.
For a long time, I get it. Overall, though, great performance tonight by him. Dominant position. Whatever happened to the jaw chin, he caused it. So good on him. I mean, this was a great performance. Something I can say, okay, look, we've seen this part. But the thing is, if I'm a promoter, I'm like, I've seen him win this way before. But what I haven't seen is how he gets it done in the third, fourth, and fifth.
We have seen it, Josh. We saw it against Gilbert Burns. We saw it against Kamaru Usman. He went the distance with two world-class fighters. Whether they were close or not, besides the point. He went the distance, the full 15 minutes, twice against two top opponents in the welterweight division. Come on, man. It's like he does this. He like tries to, because Big John is being so positive and is kind of starting to make him look bad, that Josh is now trying to be like, oh yeah, this, that, and then he goes right back to it. You can see it. He starts with, and then goes right to what he actually thinks in the discrediting.
Because if I go based off of the Kamaru Usman position, where he started losing in that third round because he was exhausted. It's kind of one of those fights where I got to check and see.
So according to Josh Thomson, if you are finishing fights early because you're that damn good, he would penalize you for it. Thank God that he's not a promoter. Thank God that he's not the matchmaker, because my God, Conor McGregor would have never been getting title shots. Khamzat Chimaev would never get title shots. These fast finishers like Alex Pineda would have never have gotten a title shot. The guys that are fast finishers, guys that are explosive, entertaining to watch, Josh is now questioning if they should get title shots because they finish a fight too early. You can't make it up, man.
I gotta go back and take a look at it and see.
Yeah, I totally understand the way you look at it, but you got to admit he brings an excitement to that weight class that really hasn't been around for very long, very much.
You see what John McCarthy's doing. Josh Thompson's his friend. They work together in Bellator. He has to be very careful with how he handles this. You can tell that Big John does not agree with Josh here. He agrees with me, like the analysis of, Khamzat looked great. He completely disagrees with Josh. And you can tell he's like sticking up for Josh a little bit here because it's his guy. But if you're Big John, you got to be like, come on, man. Like, why are you like being so dismissive of this dude?
Had Anderson Silva dominating the weight class for a long time. There was a ton of excitement over him. Then Izzy was kind of dominating it, and you kind of got that. He's the next guy. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Sean or DDP or any of them. Great fighters, but don't have that exact aura that Chimaev is bringing. And so
you hear it. The aura. Big John's accustomed to MMA YouTube now, man. He gets it. The aura. Big John understands. He understands that the MMA community, he understands the way we think. He gets it. Khamzat Chimaev versus DDP is the next fight to make. It is. Khamzat Chimaev is far more marketable than anybody else. He's got the biggest following amongst everybody basically in the middleweight division. I know Izzy's got quite a following as well. Khamzat Chimaev is a superstar. He's very marketable. He's entertaining. He's the most entertaining grappler in UFC history, in my opinion. There is no doubt about it. Khamzat Chimaev should be fighting for the title next.
Cool. If the UFC put him in right now, I understand. I totally understand. It makes sense. You ride with what is hot. And
yeah,
guy is hot. He's hot.
I agree. And let's not forget that there's a lot of money being poured in right now from the Middle East to have top level fighters and have.
There we go. There it is. To have top level fighters who headline the card: Ilia Topuria, Max Holloway. Like, it's just, here we go with the whole Middle East thing. Look, I don't care if Khamzat Chimaev is fighting in the United States, in South Africa, Canada. It doesn't matter. Khamzat Chimaev is a superstar no matter where he fights. Khamzat he's a global star. In every country, people are tuning in to watch Khamzat Chimaev. Whether they like him or not, they're tuning in. I'm a massive Chimaev fan. I've watched every single fight of his in the UFC. I even caught a couple fights in Brave when he knocked out Ikram Aliskerov. Khamzat Chimaev's that dude, man. He's that dude. Josh just looks for every way to discredit this guy. It's crazy.
Have them present themselves, to be on these high up on the pay-per-views or, high up on main card, whatever it is. And there's a reason why. I mean, and he can perform, man. He can perform. I just want to see him get tested in that third, fourth, fifth round in a title fight, in a 5-round title fight.
Did he not?
So there you go, a 5-round title fight. He was in there against Robert Whittaker. It was a 5-round fight. He didn't need 5 rounds. He only needed a couple minutes or whatever the time was to go in there. He only needed a round. He needed less than a round to beat Robert Whittaker. That's not good enough for Josh Thompson. So as a matchmaker, if Josh Thompson, thank God he's not matchmaking fights, he would be holding that against guys getting a title shot if you're finishing the fight too quickly. It's disgraceful. I don't understand that train of thought, man. I don't get it at all. I just don't get it. I don't get it. So, but nonetheless, you got the gist of it in this video, guys. Big John McCarthy, keep doing your thing, man. I really like the guy. He does a great job with the Weighing In podcast. But the reason, in my opinion, the numbers are suffering, Josh Thompson. I think he's the issue here. So, and again, sometimes with the corporate MMA media, they can't always give their take on things because they gotta please the boss or whatever. So that's the beauty of YouTube MMA and kind of what we have going on in the community right now. So, but if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a like, comment your thoughts down below. Consider subscribing to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you do not miss an upload. It's free to subscribe. Helps me out a lot. I appreciate you guys, and go Boars. I'll see you in the next one.